Hello. Welcome to Casting of the Net, a ministry of First Christian Church of Pinckneyville. Well, as you recall from our last podcast session, that we did an introduction of the attributes of God. So it is now that we're going to begin this journey together and begin to peel the layers back of each attribute of God. Well, it was a no-brainer where to start, and that is with the holiness of God. That is a issue, that is a subject that is foreign amongst most people today and even amongst most churches. So we're going to be addressing God's surpassing holiness. We're going to be looking at God's exalted status, and we're going to be looking at God's moral perfection. In regards to God's surpassing holiness, we must understand about God's holiness that it is the most prominent attribute of God. It is to say that all other attributes fall up in under the authority of God's holiness. It is a holy love. God has a holy grace. It is a holy wrath. And it is only the holiness of God that we see the trifold repetition within the Word of God. Nowhere in the Bible do we see that He is grace, 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 although God is a God of grace. Nowhere in the Bible does it lists that God is mercy, mercy, mercy. That's not so. He is a God of mercy, but the only trifold repetition of God that we see in His special revelation is that God is holy, holy, holy. It is to say that He is to be elevated above all. He is to be honored above all. We see that in Isaiah 6 with the seraphim around the throne of God in Revelation chapter 4. It's the trifold repetition that God is holy, holy, holy. Well, next we're going to look at God's exalted status. When we look at the word holy, it really indicates a separation or a cut above, we might say in our English language. Well, God is a cut above. He is separate. In fact, He is ontologically holy. The ontos is a metaphysical term. It means being, B-E-I-N-G. And when we study the being of God in the Word of God, we understand that God is ontologically holy. That means that He transcends time, space, and matter. He is still involved, and the Godhead is still involved in this created realm of existence, but God transcends this created realm of existence. He is in a very divine realm of existence. No human being can say that about him or herself. It is in Isaiah 6, and Isaiah sees the vision of God's holiness, and these dazzling seraphim are covering their face from the direct gaze of God. Relevance. Well, the relevance is it's not so much a problem with our eyes of why you and I can't see God. It's a problem with our hearts. It's a problem with the very impurity that we are sinners. These dazzling angelic metaphysical beings are covering their face in light of the very direct gaze of God. It is then that Isaiah sees these angelic beings around the thronos of God saying, holy, holy, holy. And it's there that Isaiah comes to a confession of his own sin, and he becomes traumatized by the holiness of God. He becomes overwhelmed by the holiness of God. And he says, woe is me, for I am ruined. Well, it brings us to our third and final point about the holiness of God, and that is God's moral and ethical perfection. It is God that is morally and ethically holy. Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, was beaten, scourged, and mocked by the Roman soldiers, but yet He was without sin. That is, in thought, in word, and in deed. It is to say that God's moral and ethical perfection tells us something, that God is not neutral towards sin. It doesn't matter what liberal theology says. God is not neutral towards sin. He only delights in that which is good, only delights in that which is right, and He only delights in that which is true. Therefore, holiness demands justice. It's in Romans chapter 3, verse 26, when Paul says that God is just and justifier. That is to say, at the cross of Christ, that God acted in divine justice and unleashing His divine wrath in the person of Jesus Christ. He acted, His holiness demanded justice, but yet His love and His grace and His mercy demanded justification. That is, extending forgiveness to sinners that would receive Christ on God's terms and God's conditions. And also that only God delights in that which is good, right, and true. It also tells us that sinners can only be reconciled through the blood sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Only through Christ can that take place, because only Jesus Christ satisfied the righteous requirements of God's law. Wow. Well, how do we reconcile all this within this short session? We reconcile it by saying only a healthy church is going to manifest and understand the divine holiness of God. You want to have a healthy church? Well, then it starts by having an awareness of God's holiness. But also for a healthy Christian, an individual responsibility that every one of us has as Christians that have been born again. We must understand that Christians are to engage in progressive sanctification. Once we've been baptized into Jesus Christ, it's then that we are commanded in the Bible to engage in progressive sanctification, the ongoing pursuit of separating ourselves more from sin and growing in the likeness of Jesus Christ. It's 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 16 that tells us, "Be holy, for I am holy." And without holiness, no one will see the Lord. So it's Christians, it's time that we man up and we take responsibility, and that we understand that God is holy and that He demands the same from us. Well, God bless you. And until next time, this is Casting the Net, Minister Josh Yonts. God bless you. We'll see you later. Greetings. This is Preacher Josh Yonts. And if you are benefiting from these Casting of the Net videos, then our IT technician here at the church has informed me to let everyone know out there in YouTube land that if you're benefiting from these videos, hit subscribe. And next to the subscribe button is a bell icon. Hit that bell icon, and here's what's cool about it. YouTube will actually notify you when these new videos come out. Now, how cool is that with this modern day technology? Hit the bell icon, and they will notify you when these new videos come out. Wow, look how far we have come. What would we do without YouTube? Well, God bless you. That's a whole different discourse. We'll see you later. Tune in, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and we'll see you next time.